South Korea has elected a new president, opposition leader Lee Jae-myung. His inauguration ceremony currently underway at the National Assembly, and Chery Kang is keeping track of it all on the ground in Seoul. Chery, please tell us what's happening now and what's going to happen next.
Yeah, so this is happening at the National Assembly. Remember, this election was called early because, well, really out of a schedule because of the martial law early December of 2024 and impeachment. So we didn't really have South Korean government really taking the time that was needed to put on an elaborate inauguration ceremony. But bear in mind that he is already officially the president of South Korea, but this is just a swearing-in ceremony that we are seeing at the moment, and there's some shaking hands that we see at the National Assembly building that where the inauguration ceremony is happening. I think after this ceremony, he is expected to start working as the president at Yongsan office, and of course, the Yongsan office is somewhere the former president wanted to do his presidency, spend his presidency, but Lee Jae-myung is planning to come back to the Blue House, the previous presidential office, once a renovation is done there. So we are, of course, looking at this reset in terms of South Korea's leadership. This is the moment the progressives actually take back the top office, and this comes on top of the majority of the National Assembly, the legislative body. So I think this could mean a lot of momentum going for his policy ideas. So I think that would be quite meaningful, given the fact that this election happened after 6 months of a political uncertainty, leadership vacuum, if you want to call it that, and a lot of policies that, frankly, even if there were good policies that were very necessary, but they just didn't get a lot of legislative momentum. So I think that is the one thing that I need to point out here. So we do see the first couple of South Korea taking seat, and we are expected to hear from President Lee Jae-myung now. So far, his message has been that he's going to do his best to spur the economy. Remember, there is really no denying that the South Korean economy is slowing down. We got that confirmation once again from the Bank of Korea just last week, downgrading the 2025 growth forecast to 0.8%. I think the most bearish forecast out there is growth of 0.3%. I believe that's folks at Seokjeon. And I think there was another messaging in terms of what he called overcoming Yoon Suk-yeol's insurrection. Remember, this is an election, once again, that was called because of a former President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration. So largely it was botched, and President Yoon was, of course, impeached because of that. But I think the fact that he came out with that line as his initial message, I think that definitely is sounding like a message to the opposition party now, the conservative party in South Korea, basically saying that he is now the fresh power in South Korea, and basically calling on the opposition party to work with his government. So I think that is something that I need to get out here. I think in terms of what to expect from the messaging, I think he is going to be spending some time talking about his economic policies, like I said, but also the idea that the political divide is still there. If you look at the the vote numbers, he's clearly making the half of the voters happy, but definitely leaving the other unhappy, I should say. So I think there could be some message around political unity for South Korea. Ems?
Chery, of course, Lee Jae-myung has been skeptical about Korea's alliance with the United States. But as we are here watching the China Connection, we also want to talk about this pivot that he may be making towards China and, of course, that of North Korea. What can we expect in terms of its foreign policy when it comes to China?
So a lot of pundits have been saying that progressive presidents tend to be friendlier to China, tend to be friendlier to North Korea, taking softer stance on China and North Korea. I think that is still the expectations, although we did actually have the opportunity to speak to South Korea's former trade minister, and remember Yoh Han-gu, and he was saying that different times would mean different needs for different leaders. So basically what he's trying to say is that things have dramatically changed over the last couple of years, and especially with the Trump administration in the U.S., that it may not be so simple as that. I think it's going to be a little bit more nuanced in terms of his way of navigating between the G2, the U.S. and China. But it was interesting how just this morning we had a White House official, unnamed official from the White House, releasing a statement to some of the media requests, basically saying that the alliance between the U.S. and South Korea is ironclad. But the statement also pointed out how they are worried about the Chinese interference and influence over democracies around the world. I think that could be some sort of a precursor to what we can expect. Perhaps this difficult relationship between the U.S. and China to continue, and how South Korea could be still stay squeezed between the G2 competition. Ems?